You're listening to the Fantasy Wildcard Podcast.
Yes, hello everybody and welcome back into the Fantasy Wildcard Dynasty Show. You're in for an absolute treat tonight. We've got the best two from the Wildcard squad here. We got myself, you can find me over on X at Hot Seat Mags, and we got Ali as well. You can find at FF Dynasty Grill. Ali, great to see you, mate. How you doing?
Good evening from Ireland. Yeah, not myself.
Absolutely. Yes.
I've not moved, but you have. So hats off for still being a part of the show tonight. Really looking forward to it. I'm still donning the creamsicle from the past weekend. Didn't quite go to plan, but I love this jersey so much. I might not even ever take it off. So really looking forward to tonight's show, Mags. How are you doing, my friend?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Like you mentioned, Ali, I'm back home in the motherland. Been visiting the parents for just a little update. Had a few wines as well, so we're gonna have a great show. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun for everybody. And hey, by the time we finish this class, might be a hell of a lot of fun for me too.
Let's get it. I've had a couple of Guinnesses. I'm ready.
Yes, absolutely. We're gonna kick things off with Ali. You've got breaking news as of sorts. I don't know if people have seen it on your Twitter account, but you've got a brand new wide receiver 3 for Dynasty, right?
I have, yeah. And I mean, it didn't take much guessing from people on my timeline, but this guy has just been so impressive what he's done the past 18 months of his career. It's Amon-Ra St. Brown, the patron saint of fantasy gold, we're calling it, and everything he touched has just turned to gold. And it's a bit of a sad story in my case in terms of Dynasty, because I don't have a single share of Amon-Ra St. Brown, and it's horrible because just the feeling that I'm never at this current state. I mean, how difficult is it to try and trade for him right now? It's almost impossible, especially him coming back this week in week 6 against my Buccaneers and just absolutely dominating. 15 targets, 12 catches, 124 yards and a touchdown. Our cornerbacks could not get near him. And despite him missing last week, so he returned this week, he's on pace to have a career year and just looks absolutely dominant in that offense, which is absolutely balling right now with Jared Goff. This offense, I think, is built around Amon-Ra St. Brown. It's a team that have a really good defense, really good O-line. They want to run the ball, but then they hit the big play to Amon-Ra St. Brown, and it's over and over, and you can't stop it. That's why they're doing so well. They're 5-1. And Jared Goff, hats off to Jared Goff. He's playing at such a high level as well. I mean, he has been ever since he joined in 2021. A lot of people had doubts about whether he was going to be a bridge quarterback, but it's not turned out that way. And he seems to be the guy that is taking them well towards the playoffs. And a lot of people are tipping them for the Super Bowl, to make the Super Bowl. So, I really like where Amon-Ra St. Brown is at the minute. You got Jameson Williams, who's come into the lineup, and he just seems to be the deep threat. I mean, I don't think he's going to be a target hog long term. I don't really value him that much. So, Amon-Ra St. Brown is my new wide receiver 3 in Dynasty. He's just leapfrogged AJ Brown, which a lot of people might be a bit crazy about that, considering the run that AJ Brown is on. But the fact that Amon-Ra St. Brown is in this offense, he doesn't even turn 24 until next week. He's still so young, and he's dominating at such a young age. So that's where I've got him. So my question to you, Mags, is whereabouts would you rank him in terms of your Dynasty wide receivers? And then, because people like me have got him ranked at wide receiver 3, do you think him being ranked as wide receiver 3, would you consider selling him because perhaps he's at peak value for you? Would you consider selling him at that value?
That's a really good question. Yeah, I mean, I think wide receiver 3, you can't really argue too much with it. I mean, you look at the production that he's had. The only other player is like AJ Brown, but as you said, like he's a good 2 years younger than AJ Brown. So if you're splitting hairs and there's a tiebreaker, always take the extra couple of years. So I think you're absolutely spot on putting him at wide receiver 3. I mean, in terms of selling him, if you want to look at tiers, I don't think he's good enough that he's in a separate tier to AJ Brown, or in a separate tier to even someone like a Garrett Wilson. So if I can get AJ Brown plus or Garrett Wilson plus for Amon-Ra St. Brown, I'm not hating it either. But I don't see where else you really put him. You can't put him outside top 5. You just can't do it. So I think him sitting at 3 is absolutely spot on. I wouldn't have him too much lower than that as well. I think 3 is right on the money. So I love it, Ali. Absolutely love it. Would you sell him at all? Would you consider pivoting off him for AJ Brown or Garrett Wilson or one of those guys?
Yeah, I think I've always said I like to try and play Dynasty a bit like the stock market, where if I see a particular point where I think that they are at their peak, I'm definitely willing to sell them because they're never going to return that value. I think when you look at the Dynasty wide receiver landscape, you've obviously got Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, who are pretty much untouchable right now until perhaps a certain Marvin Harrison enters the league next year. If he falls in a really nice place, I think he could get up there. But I mean, he's probably going to be my default wide receiver 3, Marvin Harrison, when he joins the league. So the only way is down from Amon-Ra at wide receiver 3. So I mean, if I had any of him, I would consider selling him at peak value. But I just need to try and get a hold of some sort of Amon-Ra St. Brown share because it's killing me not having any. I've got way too much Jameson Williams, and he's not half the player that Amon-Ra St. Brown is. No. So, have you got many shares of Amon-Ra St. Brown?
Yeah, I've got quite a few. I took him in the 3rd round a lot, actually, when he came out as a rookie. He was someone that I'd heard quite a lot about from different analysts, people who liked him. So I actually ended up taking him in the back end of the 2nd, starting the 3rd round, and I think 4 different leagues. So and including one that we were in, I think, actually, Ali, which has made me very happy. Now I realize. So maybe after the show we can do some business. Who knows?
I'm guessing it'll be a hefty price.
Yeah, well, you never know. I've nearly finished this class, so we'll see. We'll see how that ends up. There could be some regretful decisions being made. And speaking of some regretful decisions, there are some people online, and here we go again, Ali. People talking about, Patrick Mahomes. Is Patrick Mahomes, is he in trouble? Is he really the quarterback one? Are we getting enough from Patrick Mahomes? I feel like I've seen this before. People doubting Patrick Mahomes and the weapons that he has and his, upside for fantasy football. And it always ends the same way, with Patrick Mahomes on top as everybody's quarterback one at some stage or another. So are you as tired as me as seeing, people talk about Mahomes not being quarterback one on people's lists? I know at the minute on Keep Trade Cut, he does sit as quarterback one currently, but I've been seeing some rumblings online on X and people talking about it should be Hurts, it should be Allen, even some people saying Lamar. For me, it's Patrick Mahomes with a bullet. He's number one. He's got the best longevity of all these guys. You ask who's going to be the best quarterback in the league in 10 years' time, it's Patrick Mahomes still. So I think that kind of consistency and that kind of value that he's going to bring you just cements him in as QB1 without much doubt in my mind. But then I'm a massive homer as well, Ali. So I need you to help me out with this. What do you think about what's going on with Mahomes right now?
You might be. I'll say you're a little homer. I've never seen you really brag about how dominant the Chiefs are, which is really really nice. Because I think if I was in your situation, you'd know about it every 5 minutes. But just looking at Patrick Mahomes, I've seen it as well, and people are complaining that them top level games aren't there. The blow up games haven't been there this year. I think he's had 3 sub 20-point games in a row or somewhere around that level. And people are moaning and then wanting to just by default move Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts, which I think rightly are in the same tier as Patrick Mahomes. But when you talk about longevity, you've got to have Mahomes at the very top of that list. I was interested to see how it panned out with Eric Bieniemy moving away from the Chiefs. And I mean, it's just been such a seamless transition. And I mean, Andy Reid is an absolute god in terms of the NFL. Yeah. As long as he's there, then I've got absolutely no worries about Patrick Mahomes, who he's the quarterback 4 this year. So I mean, of all the people talking that he's not having the best season, he's still the quarterback 4, and I think there's more to give. If you think Kelsey hasn't been healthy the whole time, and I think we're really starting to see the best of him. You've got some rookie wide receivers there, real young wide receivers that he's playing with. And yeah, I think them top, maybe it's true that the top level games aren't going to be there. So you might put Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts ahead of him for this season. But you just think with Josh, maybe not with Josh Allen, but you looked at Jalen Hurts, and I did actually have him as my Dynasty wide receiver quarterback 1 entering the season. But you just look at what Cam Newton done, and just the quick fall of a rushing quarterback, that it can just all go to pieces. I know he's not quite the rushing quarterback that Cam Newton was, but just think Mahomes has got so much more longevity that he's my quarterback 1. I was actually the 101 in 2 startups this offseason, and I took Mahomes both times because it just felt really good, and you just haven't got to worry about where the team's going. You're not forced into going into win now or rebuild. He gives you that longevity to be flexible. So he's no doubt my quarterback 1. But how close for you is Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts to Mahomes?
They're not a million miles away. I would have them in the same kind of tier, but I think Mahomes for me is still like at top of that tier. Now, would I like pivot off Mahomes for Josh Allen or Jalen Hurts? Sure, like if the price is right. But if I'm in a startup, and you're right, if I've got the 101, it's not really crossing my mind to take Josh Allen or Jalen Hurts. I'm taking Patrick Mahomes 10 times out of 10. And yeah, it just I remember this argument this time 2 years ago. Josh Allen should be the quarterback 1, and then it kind of went away, and now it's kind of coming up again. I just predict this will be squashed and put to bed once again by the best quarterback in the NFL, Patrick Mahomes. So we'll see if that happens, but I'm predicting it well. And Ali, it's just us two, right? So we thought, let's play some games, right? We're going to play a few games together here, and you've got a game for me, and then I've got a game for you. So the first game you've called it Dynasty Decisions. Great name, by the way.
Yeah, so we're going to have a bit of fun now with Kev is unfortunately not on the show, and we'll hope to see him next week. But yeah, we thought we'll amalgamate a game into this week, and it's practical because I think you get to week 6 and you probably should have been making decisions before now, but really by now you need to start having decisions about where your team is and what you want to do. But I've had a couple of people reach out to me and say that they're 3-3. Can you have a look at my roster to see what you think, whether I'm a contender or not? So there'll be plenty of people who are sitting at 3-3 right now that not knowing whether they're going to be a contender, whether they should go into rebuild and try and get some of those really nice 24 first round picks. So we're going to play a game where you're 3-3, and I'm going to list off a few names: quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends. And I want you to tell me whether they fall into these categories. So it's either a league winner, someone that you're actively buying, someone that you're actively trying to sell, someone you think is a decent stash, and one that is a total avoid. So we'll start with quarterback, obviously, and we'll pick someone who is really lighting up right now, and Jared Goff. So Jared Goff is the quarterback 5 right now, Mags. What would your decision be on Jared Goff if you had him in your team?
If I had him in my team, well, if I don't have him in my team and I want to be a contender, I'm actually looking to buy Jared Goff because you mentioned it there. Jared Goff, quarterback 5. People don't realize that, right? Everybody just assumes Jared Goff is still just a quarterback 2, like just doing his Jared Goff usual thing. He's way, way up there. I think there's still time to take advantage of that and go out and buy Jared Goff. If he's on my team and I'm 3-3, he's a league winner. You have to say it. He's a league winner right now. He's quarterback 5. I don't see him falling too much down from that. Jared Goff, league winner. Here we are, 2023. But that's what I think.
Yeah, I have to be in agreement. I know we're going to go a bit faster paced, but I just want to touch on Jared Goff because I think I think long term he's pretty secure in Detroit. I think he's
Yep.
the guy that they love. They've raved about him for the past 18 months, and a lot of people haven't realised it. And yeah, with them weapons now, with Sam Laporta, top tight end, I think that he's comfortably going to finish as a top 8 option at least this year. And yeah, them big games are there, and the floor is there. So I really like Jared Goff, and I think he's affordable, to be honest, to go after right now.
Yep.
The next one is Justin Fields. So what are you doing with Justin Fields at quarterback 9 right now?
Sell. Easy sell. If he's not on my team, it's a totally avoid as well.
Yeah, I think I've got some exposure to Fields, but I hope he comes back healthy, because he's difficult to sell right now with the question marks long term and short term. But yeah, he's a sell for me as well. Matthew Stafford, quarterback 16, with a couple of elite wide receivers that he's playing with. What are you doing with him?
I think if he's not on my team and I need a quarterback, I'm happy to buy Matthew Stafford. You can probably get him for quite cheap. He might be enough to push you over the edge as that quarterback too. If he's on my team and I'm 3-3, I'm stashing him. I'm not doing anything with him.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think there's question marks long term, but he's got them elite wide receivers. I think he's close to having a big blow up game. He's just not quite been there yet. But with Cooper Kupp now at full speed, I think that quarterback 16 is going to rise in the next few weeks. Yeah. So yeah, stash for me. And then Deshaun Watson, quarterback 32 currently. What are you doing with Watson?
No idea. I've got so much Deshaun Watson at the minute. I'm just stashing him everywhere. Just because obviously with what happened, there was a lot of buy windows opened up. I bought him in a lot of places. I drafted him late in a lot of places. I have a ton of Deshaun Watson. I don't know. Hold. I'm just holding because everybody's just waiting for him to come out and have this big game. It's not quite arriving yet. But for me at the minute, I still think that's coming. So it's a stash for now. I have too many Deshaun Watson to go out and buy anymore.
I've not got that much, so I probably will be on the buy side of Watson. If he carries on being injured miraculously or just not underperforming, I think long term he's secure. So yeah, there's a block incoming. Right, running backs. Kyron Williams is currently the running back 3.
Sell. I think he's absolutely crap. Like, I really do. Like, when I watch him play, I'm like, this guy's rubbish. Like, I just don't see, like, apart from the amount of volume that he's getting, like, that's it. He's like Mike Davis from a few years ago. He just got to running back 1 like volume alone. So I think he's a sell right now. I don't know how much you can get for him, but I'm selling because I can get decent value for it. I mean, this time next year, where's he going to be? Probably nowhere.
Yeah, it's really sad because I've got so much Cam Akers. I really wanted that to be Cam Akers, but for whatever reason, it's not. It's got to be a sell for me at RB3. If you can get a first round pick for him, I mean, I'm doing that all day long. Even though he's probably going to continue to dominate in the offense. Right. Next one, Isaiah Pacheco, running back 12.
Yeah, he's a buy. I see Isaiah Pacheco going for a second round pick in one league. I was absolutely like flabbergasted by that because the Chiefs are looking to run the ball a little bit more as, you know, these rookie wide receivers start to develop and Kelsey gets a little bit healthier. Pacheco also starting to take some of Jerick McKinnon's passing work too, which is massive for him. So I think Pacheco's a big buy for me right now.
Yep, agreed. I think he's going a bit under the radar. And yeah, as you mentioned, they are wanting to run the ball, which is why you're not seeing Patrick Mahomes drop back to pass 50 times a game. So yeah, I totally agree. James Cook, running back 18 currently.
You know, he's actually looked better than I thought he would, but I still am not all the way in on James Cook. I'm sort of on the sell side of stash, if that makes sense. I'm sort of closer to sell than I would be. I'd be selling James Cook as he starts to get some hype up about his name.
Yeah, completely agree. Wait for a big game, and then I'm going to try and sell him. Javonte Williams, the final one, running back 39 currently.
That's a buy for me. I think he's incredibly talented. I think he'll take over that field pretty easily. If he stays healthy, he's one of the best running backs in the league, I believe. But he just needs to stay healthy.
Yeah, and that offense is putrid at the minute, which, I think the longer it goes on, there'll be a bigger buy window for Javonte. So completely agree. Wide receiver, Puka Nacua, wide receiver 6 currently.
Sell.
That was a quick one, but I mean, I can't really disagree. I think the window to sell him was a couple of weeks ago, but I still think you can get a decent amount for him as wide receiver 6.
Yeah.
The next one is CD Lamb, wide receiver 13 currently.
Yeah, is there a buy window for CD Lamb? If there is, I'm buying all day. Like he's so talented. I'll take a buy window on CD Lamb if there's one going.
Yeah, I was going to have this exact same answer until the big blow-up game last night where he looked really good. So he's more of a stash for me. Potential league winner, but this offense has not been great. Dak's not been lining up, so I can't put him in that category. Buy if he continues to have. I think before this weekend, he had only had total of four games where he had 4 receptions. That was it.
Yeah.
And that's not where you drafted him. So, next one is wide receiver 14. So one less, one lower. Michael Pittman Jr.
I love Michael Pittman Jr. He's my most owned wide receiver in fantasy football at the minute. I'm not doing too much with him. Gardner Minshew actually won't hurt him too much, I wouldn't say. So I'm happy to stash Michael Pittman Jr. for now. I'm not moving him anywhere really.
Yeah, I agree. I think while it is Gardner Minshew, I think Michael Pittman will continue to be targeted. Therefore, you stash him and sell him before, I think, Richardson next season when he comes back. Right, this one, Jerry Jeudy. This is, my flag plant. Wide receiver 61 currently.
Man, he's so... Like, I'm still like a believer in Jerry Jeudy. I think he's talented, but he seems to be an absolute dickhead, which isn't really helping his cause. Like, he just isn't gelling with people. He's, calling Steve Smith some names on the sideline that he probably shouldn't be. Yeah. I think you know what? I'm selling Jerry Jeudy at this. I think he's still got some value, still got some name. I think it might be time to get off the Jeudy bus and sell him while you can.
Okay. I'm going to buy just because I think there is a trade imminent before the deadline, so there'll be a price value increase. Right,
that'll be good.
Tight end quickly. TJ Hawkinson, tight end 3 currently.
Oh, league winner, absolutely smashing it. Like, just looks great with Jefferson out. He's going to be the number 1 target there. He's a league winner for sure.
Yeah, I think we saw Addison not going to be a target hog. KJ Osborne is fine, but I think they're going to have to lean on TJ Hawkinson going forward. Agreed. Kyle Pitts showed a little bit this week. Tight end 12.
The stash. I don't know what to do with. I don't think anyone knows what to do with Kyle Pitts, so I'll say stash.
Yeah, it's pretty gross, but I think you have to stash him. Potentially jump off him if he carries on this form. Just gross. Quickly move on to something that's not gross, someone that's definitely not gross. Dalton Kincaid, currently the tight end 29, so slow start compared to Laporta, but what are you doing with Kincaid?
Bye. He'll be ahead of Laporta at some stage. I think he's that good. I'm buying Dalton Kincaid all day long.
Yeah, 100% agree. I think definitely buy him. He's going to come good, whether it be the back end of this year or into next year. Love him in the offense. Yeah,
absolutely. Thank you so much. What a game, Ali. That was brilliant. And we're gonna move on to a game I prepared for you. Everybody's favorite game of Are They Better Than a Kicker? So this is according to Fantasy Pros. I've taken the maximum points for the number 1 kicker in fantasy football right now, and I've asked you to see if you can, guess if certain players are ahead or behind of Jake Elliott, who, by the way, is currently the best kicker in football right now. So, let's pitch it to you first then. So, Jake Elliott, who's got more points? Can you tell me in PPR? Is it Jake Elliott or is it the slow starting Joe Burrow?
Wow. Hannah will never forgive me if I say it's Jake Elliott. I mean, I might be completely wrong, egg on my face, but let's go Joe Burrow for this one.
Joe Burrow. It's Joe Burrow. Yeah, Joe Burrow's got more fantasy points than Jake Elliott. But does Derek Carr?
I mean, let's go Derek Carr. I mean, surely the Saints quarterback, the precious Saints quarterback, has scored more points than a kicker.
Derek Carr has less fantasy points than Jake Elliott right now, which is, that's something else, right? Well, let's move on to one of your boys, right, Ali? We've got Rachaad White. Can you tell me, does Rachaad White have more or less points than Jake Elliott?
I bet he's got less. I mean, he's running for like 2 yards a carry, so
it's considerably less. He would actually be one of the worst. He would be one of the worst kickers in the league at the moment. Rachaad White. It kind of shows you how well he's playing with his 2 carries a game. But then, what about one of your most loved players? Let's say, when you love certainly his surname, James Cook.
Yeah, let's go James Cook.
James Cook has less points
Wow.
than Jake Elliott currently. Not by a lot, it's one less, but he has less points than Jake Elliott right now. All right, let's move on then to the king, Derrick Henry. Does Derrick Henry have more or less points than Jake Elliott?
Come on. I mean, if it's not Derrick Henry, we need to strip him of that title right now. It's gotta be. Please tell me it's Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry has more points. Yes, of course he does. He's got quite a few more. But I know he's had a slower start, so I thought I'd throw his name in to see what people think. All right. So let's move into our wide receiver room then, shall we? Tell me, who's got more points then? Is it Jake Elliott or is it DK Metcalf?
Yeah, he's definitely had a fairly slow start. Not been dominating at all. I've got to go DK Metcalf. Yeah, surely, right?
Yeah, it's Jake Elliott.
No.
Jake Elliott has got more fantasy points than DK Metcalf currently as of Fantasy Pros scoring, which is absolutely crazy. So if it's not DK Metcalf, surely Terry McLaurin will have more points, right?
Yeah, come on. Yeah, bring it to me. He'll have a little bit more, surely.
He has 0.2 more.
Wow.
Yeah. So Jake Elliott's out here winning leagues for people, by the way. Can I just say, like, this is pretty impressive. We've got. Do I have another wide receiver? No, I don't. I'm gonna move on. I got 3 tight ends for you then. Okay, so let's see. Let's start with Mr. Hot and Cold himself, George Kittle.
Yeah, definitely burned me a little bit in DFS this week. Yeah, do you know, I hate him this week. Let's go Jake Elliott.
Yeah, Jake Elliott with a bullet as well. Kittle as well would be one of the worst kickers in the league in terms of points scored, which is absolutely crazy. And then we'll move on then to a guy that's been doing pretty well this year, Cole Kmet.
Yeah, he has been actually. Let's go Cole Kmet because he's a top 5 tight end, I think.
He is a top 5 tight end. But Jake Elliott would also be a top 5 tight end because he's doing better than Cole Kmet, which shows you just how rotten the landscape is. And in fact, I was going to have one more for you, Ali, but I'll just tell you that Jake Elliott would be exactly tight end 5. He would only be 4/10 of a point behind Mark Andrews.
Wow. Damn.
Yeah, so shout out Jake Elliott. He's absolutely killing it out there for people that play with kickers. I will say Brett Maher also, actually. I've just noticed Brett Maher is joint on top. So shout out Brett Maher as well. So that brings to the... Sorry, go ahead.
If you want to try and buy any of these guys like James Cook, just say, hey, look, you've got a guy here that's got less points than Jake Elliott. You don't want him. I'll take it.
Try and do a straight swap for Jake Elliott and see. Because Jake Elliott got more points, will play in the league for longer, better offense. Like you can build this up, right? You can make your argument for Jake Elliott for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, so thank you very much. That was thoughtful. Are they better than a kicker? Maybe we'll play that again later in the year. That might be quite a fun recurring segment just to see where people are sitting. But we'll move on from that and we'll move into a different scenario here. We're going to look at if we were starting right now a startup, right, in one quarterback. who would we take and why? And we're kind of going to start from the 103, right? Because 101 and 102 are fairly chalky, right?
Yeah, so it was on the DLF Dynasty show this week that they done this scenario, which I thought was just really interesting. And yeah, so it's one QB, so we're not going to talk any quarterbacks, but just I mean, you can draft one if you want, but we're going to start with the 103 because Chase and Justin Jefferson are going to go 101, 102 every time. So if you were to pick right now in a startup, you can have the 103 pick, Mag. So who would be your pick at the 103 if we were just me and you doing the startup draft right now?
I still think I would go with Bijan Robinson. I think he's that far ahead of the rest of the running backs in terms of his age. Yeah, I think he's pretty safe in there at 103.
Yeah, so exactly. So I would definitely have Bijan just because his value is still on the rise, in my opinion, just because he's not had that true breakout game yet. The potential is massive. So 104. I mean, I touched on it earlier. I'd go back to the wide receiver because there's nobody close to Bijan in terms of the running back. So Amon-Ra St. Brown, I'll select at the 104. So back to you, Mags, for the 105.
Yeah, 105, I'll go the guy kind of right behind him, I think, in that wide receiver kind of ranking. That would be AJ Brown for me. Tyreek Hill is close just because how awesome he is, but I think with AJ Brown, you got a couple of more years in the tank for him. So I'll take AJ Brown over Tyreek right after Amon-Ra.
Yeah, that is a very, very solid pick because I think there's almost a little bit of a tier break after where I still wouldn't be thinking about running backs yet. So it would go back to my wide receiver ranking. So next up would be Garrett Wilson. So someone that is stuck with Zach Wilson at the minute, but I mean you've got to believe that Aaron Rodgers is going to come back. I mean he was on the pitch throwing passes the other day. I think he's destined to come back, and he's going to have a chip on his shoulder. So Garrett Wilson's going to go nuclear next year. So yeah, him at the 106, 107. Mags, back to you.
Yeah, I'm in this predicament again with Tyreek here. And this, do you go for a guy that's got 2 years left? I'm usually inclined to go for the youth, so I would actually take his teammate here, Jalen Waddle. We've seen how well Tyreek has done that. Offense too is not going anywhere. Mike McDaniel is not going anywhere. So I would expect, Jalen Waddle to become that Tyreek Hill that he is now down the line. So I'll take Jalen Waddle next year just because he's got that youth and he's got that awesome offense he's in. Yep,
absolutely love that pick. I think going forward, as soon as we start to close out Tyreek Hill's amazing career, Jalen Waddle's going to carry that load and just be a superstar. So moving on to me at the 108, I'm going to go CD Lamb just because I think he's fairly close between him and another couple of wide receivers, but we're still hammering the young wide receivers here. CD Lamb is still really young, still really good. Going to get a massive contract, and absolutely love him. So CD Lamb's the pick. Back to you, Mags, for the 109.
Yeah, this is why I pull the bullet on Christian McCaffrey, right? You have to, at some stage, someone's going to come in and take Christian McCaffrey just because he's such a league winner. And there is that gap. Well, there is that gap in value for Bijan Robinson running back. There is another gap in production going on at the minute with running back. It's Christian McCaffrey in a tier on his own, and then there's another tier, and then there's everybody else. It's like I've got a wedge of just nothing, and then it's everybody else at the minute. So even though he is older and might not have as much time left in the league, I mean, none of these running backs really have a lot of time in the league anyway. So I'll take Christian McCaffrey here just for his league winning ability.
Yeah, love that pick just because he's in the perfect offense for him. That doesn't need him to do too much. We obviously don't want to see him keep getting injured like he did this past week, but hopefully comes back quickly. And he's got, I think he's a bit like Tyreek Hill, got 2 more years of elite production. So if you get that league-winning production, that's really good at the back end of the first round. 110, I will pick Chris Olave, another one wide receiver, another stud that is not producing as well as he probably should, but that's down to the quarterback play and the offensive scheme. But again, take talent over situation when you talk about someone like Olave going forward. Feel really good about having him on all of my Dynasty rosters as much as I can. So, yep, 110, so 111. So your final pick, Mags, who's it going to be?
This is where I'll go Tyreek Hill again. Like, same kind of thing with Christian McCaffrey, just has so much production. And yeah, while he is officially going to hang it up in 2 years, 2 years of potentially wide receiver overall, like number one production, I think it's worth it at a late first round pick for sure. That's a league winner for sure. And I'll take league winners at the back end of the first all day.
Yep, completely agree. I think I'll round it out. It's close between some wide receivers, but I think I've gone all wide receivers. So let's pick a running back. I'm going to go Breece Hall just because I think he's come back and looked awesome like his old self. So he's still really young. He's got a good few years ahead of him. I think he's easily a top 3 running back in Dynasty. So that's going to round out our top 12 right now. Thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, that was good. That was fairly seamless. And a lot of these guys are super close as well, right? You can kind of move them around a little bit depending on the style that you play. So I always think that's a good exercise to do. It's usually more fun with that one QB as well. A lot of us just play super flex, but kind of shows you more the skill positions outside of quarterback and where they fall. So I think it's always good practice to have. And we're going to jump into, this is kind of another game, I suppose. It's kind of a game, right? This is some Dynasty word associations. So I've got one word that I'm going to say, and Ali's going to think of a player that just jumps into his head whenever he hears this word. Okay? So Ali, will I do my 3 first, and then you do your 3 second? Will we do that?
Yeah. Let's do it.
All right. So Ali, my first word for you is caution.
So immediately, when you say caution, I go to quarterback because I think they are sort of the position that can lose the value the quickest, especially when you're thinking about someone that could lose a starting job from being a stud. And I mean, it's a bit of a cop-out answer, but the person that obviously comes to the top of my head is Justin Fields, just because I think we're talking about a bloke that could be an absolute fancy stud right now, but in 12 months' time, in less than that, there could be Caleb Williams quite easily on that team. He could either be a backup or he needs another team to trade for him. So, that's going to be my caution pick.
Yeah, I think that's a great shot there for sure. And next up, the word is bragging. So this doesn't have to be a player that is bragging necessarily, but it could be a player that other people are bragging about picking up.
Okay, so the person that shoots to my mind is actually someone that's on the IR right now, and someone that we were heavily on in the offseason that we drafted at the back of the first round, that didn't have a good start. The first week he was a healthy scratch, but ever since he's been absolutely dominant. So someone that we've spoken about numerous times the last few weeks, Devon Achane is going to be, I don't really want to brag too much about it, but yeah, I've got plenty of Achane and just feel really good about that in all scenarios, whether he's stashed away on a team that might not even be a contender. And I think, I've got a good few years in him, or it's just someone who's on a contender where the talks are he's going to be healthy as soon as he can come back off the IR and he'd probably dominate again. So, yeah, Achane.
Absolutely love it. 2 weeks ago, I realized, I was scrolling through one of my leagues and I realized I actually had another share of him and he's on my taxi squad. I was just like, oh my God. It's an absolute jackpot. It was like finding a fiver in your jeans, you didn't realize you had it. It was absolutely brilliant. And then he went into IR immediately after, but even still, I'm super happy to find him sitting there. Okay, so I've got one more for you. The word is future.
Yep. So the person that comes to my mind is Jackson Smith-Njigba, someone that I think we possibly saw a glimpse into the future this week, and we saw him getting far more touches, be on the field more this week, coming off the bye. I just think slowly, we are going to see Jackson Smith-Njigba. Not really. I don't think he's going to affect Lockett and Metcalf, but I just think it's going to lower the ceilings. And he's one for the future. You need to be buying into him right now because the more snap counts the percentages go up, the catches, receptions. As soon as he starts scoring touchdowns is when people are going to be going, well, of course, we knew he was always the wide receiver one, when people aren't talking about that right now. So, yeah, that's the future.
Yeah, absolutely love that. And you've got some words for me as well, right?
I have, yeah. So, first word is delicious. So, this is the one player in Dynasty you just cannot get enough shares of. It's like a piece of cake. You know you shouldn't take any more slices, but one more slice just can't hurt, right? So, who's delicious for you?
I mean, my most owned Dynasty player is J.K. Dobbins, but it's kind of like he's kind of like off milk now, so I can't really describe him as delicious. Someone who I can't help going out there and just, even though it's not working, I keep trying to buy Bijan Robinson in every league. I keep trying to buy it because what happens is, Ali, is you get every week these, delicious. This is the player I thought about. Where those like overhead camera angles that the Falcons are doing, and it's of Bijan Robinson like just balling out. It's like it is almost delicious to look at, right? So every time I see that, I go out and try and buy Bijan Robinson. I feel it.
It's like the perfect piece of cake. You can't go wrong with Bijan.
Yeah.
I've not got any slices of that cake, so perhaps I need to invest. The second word is Halloween, right? Because it is coming up to Halloween. Couple of weeks' time, spooky season is upon us. So who's the one player that is scaring you right now? Who's giving you chills, perhaps, that you may own in Dynasty, that is giving you the chills that's scaring you for Dynasty?
Deshaun Watson, right? We talked about it earlier. He's one of my most owned players because of all the buy windows and everything that could happen. And, he's not looked great. And then he's got this shoulder problem. And it's like, not great as a scenario overall. So, Deshaun Watson and my, maybe poor choice of phrasing here, but overexposure to Deshaun Watson is.
Yeah, you don't want any of that.
Yeah.
Mine's probably Jahmyr Gibbs, just because. Love to see him come back now. Montgomery may miss a little bit of time, but yeah, I've got quite a bit of Gibbs. Took him high, so we'll find out. But he's definitely spooked me a little bit. The final word, which is pretty random, but it's Dogecoin. So do you remember the Dogecoin hype from a couple of years back? Well, who's the one player that was hyped up wrongly in a short space of time and now is a complete flop in your eyes, but perhaps some people have still got lasting hope of this player?
I mean, so it's lucky Kev's not here because it's Justin Fields, right? Right? I mean, this guy, I've said it before, he took the Bears from a playoff team to the worst team in the NFL, what looks like 2 years in a row. He's going to be everybody's favorite backup pretty soon. Like, it's just, you can't lose that many games and get away with it. He's got a worse record than Johnny Manziel does. It's absolutely crazy. It's like,
yeah, something's not quite right there. And I mean, they cannot pass up on Caleb Williams. They can't do it. So yeah, I get it. I really get the pick. It's a great pick.
Like, I'm sure Kev doesn't agree.
Yeah,
I could hear him
over this thing.
I can hear screaming before in case he's watching live and logs in to shout at us. We'll bring the show to an end there. So, Ali, mate, just wanted to say thank you so much for joining again, and had fun tonight.
Oh, absolutely! It's always great to catch up with you, Mags, and had a bit of fun tonight talking week 6, but playing games that have that are practical for this time of the season in Dynasty, because people need to be sensible, make sensible decisions. Really enjoyed it. So cheers for hanging out with me tonight.
Anytime, mate. And thanks everybody for listening along. That brings us to the end of the show. And if you're not already, make sure you're following us over on YouTube. You can find us at Fantasy Wildcard Podcast Studios, and also over on X as well. You can find us at Fantasy Wildcard and Wildcard Dynasty, along with Hot Seat Mags and FF Dynasty Grill 2. That brings us to the end of the show. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week.